Sakritva rajasa tyagam naiva tyaga phala labhet. Dukham iti eva yat karma kaya klesha bhayat tyajet. Sakritva rajasa tyagam naiva tyaga phala labhet. Dukham iti eva yat karma kaya klesha bhayat tyajet. Sakritva rajasa tyaga naiva tyaga phala labhet. Any devotee, please, if you could chant the verse.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Dandot Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Dukham iti eva yat karma kaya klesha bhayat tyajat sakritva rajasam tyagam naiva tyaga phalam labhet.
Very nice. Thank you, Satyabhama Mataji. Anybody else, please?
Dukkam nidhyeva yat karma kaya klesha bhayat tyajed sakritva rajasam tyagam naiva tyaga bhalam labhet.
Thank you, Simeshwar Prabhu. So we'll read the some synonyms, translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Synonyms: dukham, unhappy; iti, thus; eva, certainly; yat, which; karma, work; kaya, for the body; klesha, trouble; bhayat, out of fear; tyajet, gives up; sah, he; kritva, after doing; rajasa, in the mode of passion; tyaga, renunciation; no, not; eva, certainly; tyaga, of renunciation; phalam, the results; labhet, gains. Translation: anyone who gives up prescribed duties as troublesome or out of fear of bodily discomfort is said to have renounced in the mode of passion. Such actions never lead to the elevation of renunciation. Purport: one who is in Krishna consciousness should not give up earning money out of fear that he is performing fruitive activities. If by working one can engage his money in Krishna consciousness, or if by rising early in the morning one can advance his transcendental Krishna consciousness, one should not desist out of fear or because such activities are considered troublesome. Such renunciation is in the mode of passion. The result of passionate work is always miserable. If a person renounces work in that spirit, he never gets the result of renunciation. Hare Krishna. So we'll chant the Mangalacharan prayers now. Om Agnyantamirantasya Kyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Mano Bhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sakrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishnabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Shatarine. Jai Shri Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So, dear devotees, we just read the shloka, synonyms, translation, and purport. So we'll dive a little bit deeper and understand about chapter 18 and specifically text 8. So what we're going to cover today is overview of chapter 18. Its title, Perfection of Renunciation. So we'll see that this has about 78 shlokas, 78 verses, and then how it all ties in, and also the entire Bhagavad Gita. So chapter 18 is basically like a summarization of the entire conversation Shri Krishna has had with Arjuna. Then we'll talk about the 3 types of renunciation. So, for the past many days, this subject matter of renunciation is being discussed so nicely by many speakers before me. So we'll cover what are these 3 types of renunciation. And today's verse specifically, renunciation in the mode of passion. So we'll discuss that. And then, of course,
renunciation is the mode of passion.
Yes, Prabhu, you have a comment? Okay, so we will do this group discussion. Personally, I find a lot of give and take. There's a lot I personally learn from these group discussion, and also where we all can share our thoughts and our realization. So I'll encourage everyone, please, unmute your mics and just jump in. Don't feel shy. Don't worry about whether you're saying the right thing or the wrong thing. You're participating in an act of devotional service. And if on the outside chance something is not, lining up properly, there are devotees who would be able to help out with the correct understanding. So as usual, my credit to I offer my obeisances to His Grace Gauranga Priya Das. Prabhu is the one who has compiled a very analytical study, the Bhagavad Gita notes on the entire Gita. His notes are what I refer to when preparing for Bhagavad Gita class, mainly. Hare Krishna. So what is the overview of chapter 18? So before we get there, let's understand what some of these terms are so that all of us are on the same page. Surrender. We all know what is surrender, right? So you see in war, they wave the white flag. White flag is a sign of, I surrender. Basically, I'm no longer going to fight anymore. I'm not going to resist anymore. And I'm going to, put my hands up and submit to authority. So that's what surrender means. You see also when devotees, when we do kirtan, when we chant, when we dance, or even when we're just like when we did Mangalacharan, right? We also lift our hands up when we're chanting Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Anyone can share what their understanding is, why we raise our hand up? What does it signify?
We are doing surrendering to the Lord in a mood of the Draupadi.
Yes, we are surrendering. Very good. We are surrendering. Now, the next question is, what are we surrendering? Are we surrendering our property? Are we surrendering what? Bank balance? What is it that we're surrendering?
Ego, pride.
Yeah, good. Good, Shachirani. It's a false ego. A false ego is what we are surrendering. It has many connotations, this raising of the hands. It's also the Sankirta Yagya. And if you see Yagya, if you come on Saturdays, Simeshwar Prabhu does the Narsingha Yagya. So it's a fire sacrifice. So everything that we're offering is put into the fire, it purifies it, and it takes it to Shri Vishnu. So similarly over here, and fire always rises up, correct? So it's like when we're doing the Yagya, this is what I'm offering to you, my dear Lord, here. And as Jaiprakash Prabhu said, like in the mood of Draupadi, Draupadi was holding on with one hand, and the Kaurav was just pulling. He's a mighty warrior. Draupadi is a frail little woman, and he just kept pulling the sari, and she was being disrobed. And she didn't know what to do. She was struggling with her own effort, and then finally she threw both her hands up. Hey Krishna, it's you now. And that's what happens when Krishna supplied, unlimited yards and yards of cloth. So much so that Dushasan got completely tired. He could no longer disrobe Draupadi. Srinivas Prabhu, I'll request you to please mute your phone, please, or your device. Simeshwar Prabhu, could you mute him?
Yes, Prabhuji, I'm good.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. One question, why to copy Draupadi? We can surrender by ourselves, right?
No, you can't.
No?
Devotional service doesn't require to do anything by yourself. You have to follow in the footsteps of the great Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis. If we do it ourselves, Prabhu, we run the risk of going astray, because this mind of ours is, what do they say, markat mind. It's like a monkey. It jumps here and there. So that's why, all the instructions which are given, and in the coming slides, we'll discuss this point a little more in detail, but you follow in the mood of the Vaishnavas. They set a precedent for us, which makes it easy. And if we go on our own, then we only stumble, fall, and finally you just give up. But if you follow in the footsteps of the Vaishnava, the path is made very clear, very, very, very clear. So that's the reason. But the point is of total surrender. That means I completely depend on Krishna. There is no such thing that my capabilities, my capacities, I'll still try to get stuff done. No, it's everything in Krishna's hand. I'm just a puppet, whatever you want to do. Then we come to this word renounce. What does renounce mean? Renounce means to refuse to follow or obey or recognize any further. That is what renounce is. Now, if you see, surrender and renounce seems to be kind of opposite. And we'll see how Krishna explains that it is one and the same thing. Then duty, this term duty, what is duty? It is a responsibility, what we ought to be doing, something that is required from us based on a station which needs to be performed. If we don't do our duty, everything goes haywire. Whatever duty it be, spiritual duty, whether it is a material duty, duty towards the family, duty towards the society, whatever. So we have this responsibility, and in event that we don't do it, it's something like a cog in a machine. That cog goes out of sync, the entire machinery gets to be disturbed. Then we have detached. This is another term. So these are the four main terms. Just keep this in mind as we go through the coming slides. Detach means to stay aloof. There's a lot of stuff happening around me, but I am aloof. A lot of noise, but I am shant. So to remain disinterested, not like all the time, what's happening over there? Oh, what's happening over here? Let me go and check Twitter. What's happening now? Let me go and check whatever social media platform. All the time, this interest, that interest, running here and there, detached. So to remain aloof. So what it says is over here, Prabhu's Mataji's, is the summary is we've so far come through 17 chapters. And then to emphasize the summum bonum of the entire Bhagavad Gita is in that verse, Sarva Dharman Parityaja. Abandon all varieties of religion, dharma, this, that, whatever, and surrender unto me, surrender. I will deliver you from all reaction, action, sins, whatever. So to emphasize that the goal is surrender, the essence of these chapters, preceding chapters, is now brought together in this final chapter 18. So what Krishna does is he starts by the prescription that he gave Arjuna. Renounce the result of your work, but not the work itself. That's the prescription. What is prescription? Yesterday we were talking about it. You know, you have a disease, correct? It's a certain condition, not a normal condition. And the doctor prescribes you a medicine to neutralize the effect of the disease. So similarly over here, we have the disease of I, me, myself, mine. All the time, whatever thoughts, words, and deeds is centered around this. And we do work, and then we expect result from that work. So what Krishna says is, continue doing your work, but renounce whatever are the results of that work. Don't get attached to that work. And then Krishna finally says that dutiful, detached work brings no reaction. So you see duty over there, it's our responsibility. Detached work, to remain aloof from the results, which doesn't mean that if I go, I'm a professional, I go to work, I earn Lakshmi. It doesn't mean that I do my job haphazardly, I don't care. No, you care, it's your duty, do it properly. But whatever are the results, don't get caught up with it. Don't have that lalach or the greed. I should be doing that. I'll get this in return. Don't make it transactional way. If I do this, I'll get this. And whatever I get, then I'm going to use it for I, me, myself, mine. Some sense gratification, whatever it be. So then Krishna says, dutiful, detached work brings no reaction. Now here's a question for all devotees. What reaction is Krishna referring to over here? Detached work brings no reaction. What is this reaction that we're talking about?
Good or bad?
Huh? Yeah, Vajranabha Prabhu. Anybody?
Karma.
Karma is the no reaction. Karma is the Sanskrit word for reaction. So what exact karma is Krishna talking about here?
Basically, you dovetail everything, all the work that you do, if you dovetail it into Krishna consciousness, then you don't get the bad or the good karma.
Yes, that is true. That's what Krishna says. There's no reaction, no good, no bad karma. But what is that reaction? Suppose we are not doing dutiful or detached work. What reaction will we get?
Get caught up in the cycle of life and death.
Birth, old age, disease, death, over and over again. Soul is eternal. Today we have this body. We are doing activities. Those activities are getting reactions. It could be good reaction, it could be bad reaction, doesn't matter. Reaction is what binds us in this cycle of birth, old age, disease, death. This lifetime, that lifetime, millions of lifetime, this body, that body. Caught up. We're just caught up. That's not a natural condition. So that's the reaction that Krishna is referring to. So when we do dutiful, detached work, it doesn't incur any karma. And karma manifests in the shape of birth, old age, disease, and death, the repetitive cycle. It goes on and on. Very good. So now we'll further continue. The overview of chapter 18 is there are 11 sections, how it is classified. There are 11 sections, and there are these 78 verses which are distributed across these 11 sections. So here we have section 1 to section 11. Section 1 starts with karma, and Krishna emphasizes that sannyas and tyaga are both one and the same thing. What is sannyas? Sannyas is the renounced order, and tyaga is renunciation. It's the Sanskrit for renunciation. Okay, a sannyasi by definition is a tyagi, but that tyagi is done in a proper manner. That renunciation is done in a proper or an intelligent renunciation you can talk about. So his renunciation, the sannyasi, sannyas actually is also a state of mind, consciousness. We'll discuss that later. So sannyas, the renounced order, is what they do is that they'll do their prescribed duty. They will do the prescribed duty. They don't shirk away from that. It doesn't mean sab kuch chhod chhad ke Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. In fact, sannyasis are more busy than us grastis and professionals. Much more busy. You cannot understand the utilization of time. Every one of us has 24 hours in a day. All of us have 24 hours in a day. Okay, there is a lot of faltu time, or what you call time pass, that we engage in, wasting time. Everyone does it to some extent or the other. Whereas sannyasis, they're literally breath to breath. They're engaged in an activity. And what is that activity? There is only one activity a sannyasi does, that is devotional, acts of devotional service. There is this principle called yukta vairagya. Vairagya is also another word for renunciate. You know, sab chhod chhad ke sab kuch. No longer in this dunyadari in Hindi. I don't know what's the English word for dunyadari, rat race. No longer in that. Yes. However, what they do is they utilize everything. Everything is utilized in the service of Krishna and Krishnas. So, for example, if there is a computer, someone may say, oh, computer is a material thing. No. A sannyasi uses it to preach. A sannyasi uses it to research. A sannyasi uses it to write about Krishna. So you see, this is yukta vairagya. Per se, an activity or an article is neutral. It's neither karmic nor is it liberating. It is neutral. The purpose for which it is used, the intent, and who the beneficiary is, that determines whether it is karmic, which is binding reaction, or it is liberating, akarma, no reaction. The very same thing. To give you an example, if you light a lighting a matchstick, it is neutral. You light a matchstick. But if I use it to light a cigarette and smoke it, it's giving me some sense gratification. So who's the enjoyer? I am the enjoyer. In such a situation, that becomes karmic. However, the same matchstick, when I light it, and I light an agarbatti or I light a diya, and I offer it in worship to the deities, I offer it in worship to the Guru, Krishna or Krishnas, that very same act becomes a karma. Similarly, we eat food. You need food to survive. The body needs, you need enough to keep a body and soul together. But if I just eat without offering bhoga and having the remnants prasad, karmic. But the very same food offered and eaten becomes a karma. So this is the principle of yukta vairagya, where everything is dovetailed for the pleasure of Krishna. Then the next section is jnana, where the Vedanta, there is an analytical study of how, here's using your mind power, how to become free from reaction. Then third section talks about how these three modes, goodness, passion, ignorance, controls each and every activity. We think we are the controller. All of us want to be little Ishwaras, but actually we are the controlled. And that is the illusion. The controlled thinks that he is the controller. It is these three modes which is controlling everything, whatever we're doing. Then from Sakam Karma to Nishkam, freedom from reaction of occupational work. So I may have shared this instruction from Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj. Now, my occupational work is I'm in revenue operations, sales, business development, and this requires me to frequently, what they call over here, wine and dine with the customer. Whatever, take them for sports events, or you go to eat in restaurants, commercial establishments, things like that. Almost 99% of the persons are meat eaters. That's what the world is almost today. Very minuscule are vegetarians, and even a fraction of that is Krishnatarian anyway. So there is the saying that it's not just person who eats meat, the person who purchases it, the person who cooks it, the person who serves it, the person who delivers it, the person who butchers it. Everyone is implicated in that sin of that cruelty, that violence against an innocent creature. In one sense, that animal is my brother. That cow is my mother. We are all connected, right? Krishna is the supreme father of everything. So just for my tongue and taste, my sense gratification, this is what I'm indulging in. So personally, I don't eat meat, but, I'm paying for it. So what to do? I asked Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj, what to do? Now, this is where you need instructions of a Vaishnava. My mind was very disturbed, thinking that, should I give up my job? It gets all into, if I give up my job, how will I support my family, this, that, whatever. So Maharaj asked me a question in return. Whom are you working for? So obvious answer is, I told Maharaj, my family. Again, he asked me, whom are you working for? So I said, my family. And he raised his eyebrows. He's saying, your family. So now I know that the answer is not the right one. I got a little confused. So then Maharaj says, why don't you go with the consciousness? It's not your family. This is Krishna's family. Krishna's family. And you are the caretaker of this family. Then your job, your activity becomes an act of devotional service, because whatever Lakshmi that you're getting, that is being used in Krishna's service to support Krishna's. But as long as I consider it as my, I, me, myself, mine, there is that karmic reaction. But when I go with the consciousness that this is Krishna, Krishna's, then that act negates any reaction. So then we come to the confidential knowledge, which says that from reaction-free work, jnana, knowledge will bring someone up to the Brahman platform. But that Brahman platform is not really conducive. It's not the goal, to merge. And then from there, the pure devotional service, which we call bhakti. Then what is pure devotional service is discussed. Very simple, work under the order of the Lord. So Krishna has given many instructions in Bhagavad Gita. Follow that. Now, how to follow it, which one to follow, when to follow, you have the via medium of the Guru Parampara, the Vaishnava. So work under the order of the Lord. Then something more confidential is surrendering to the super soul. So when we talk of all this surrender and all, surrender to whom? You can't surrender to light. You can't surrender to something abstract, energy. So who you go to, you surrender to the super soul. Then becoming a pure devotee of Krishna. Krishna gives that, man mana bhava mat bhakta. Always think of me, worship me. And when you do this, you realize Krishna. we realize Krishna. So right now we are at a knowledge level, so to say, jnana. But more importantly, when we engage in these acts, that's when we get these realization. Then Krishna says is that studying Bhagavad Gita and preaching, very important, please understand this. Studying is what we do it internalizing, and then preaching. Please understand, preaching should always, always, always be in a mood of humility. You can never go and say, I know more than you. I know all the verses of Bhagavad Gita by heart. I have listened to Prabhupada. I have listened to so many Vaishnavas. I know what is what. So here's what I'm telling you for your own good. So you shut up and listen to me. No, that drives people away. It drives people away. We have to go in the mood of, my dear sir, I am your servant. I am your ever well-wisher. Please consider this. This is what the illness is, and here is the prescription. What happens is when we study, it is internalized. And that same thing, when we have studied it, that subject matter, and when we share it, knowledge is such that when you share, it doesn't reduce. It only grows. And you'll be amazed that the level of realization one gets, whatever we've read, you can actually get personal experiences when you're preaching. And there are so many ways of preaching one-on-one. It could be in a class, it could be anywhere, it could be in your train, it could be, and preaching is not necessarily by words itself. It could be your appearance, it could be by your behavior. So once when we do that, it guarantees love of God. Studying and sharing. But sharing always has to be done in the mood of humility. Keep that in mind. And the other important aspect is non-envious persons. People will come across, they're argumentative, this, that, and all. Hare Krishna. You're not here to win a debate or an argument, though you could win. But that's not the purpose. They say never argue with a fool. He'll drag you down to his level and he'll win because he has an experience at being a fool, a greater fool. So any person who's envious, Hare Krishna, and walk away politely from there. Then section 10, after all this, Arjuna is now pakka, firmly fixed. And he says, yes, I will act as per your orders, dear Krishna. This is how we need to be. No doubt, no second guessing. And believe me, it doesn't matter the number of years that we've spent in Hare Krishna. It doesn't matter the number of rounds. It doesn't matter the level of seva. It doesn't matter how much bhoga you offered and how much prasad you've eaten. Doesn't matter. Maya is so insidious. She can creep up anytime. You know, if you go to these Alcoholic Anonymous, the disease is alcoholism, addiction. First is they always, in their meetings, they'll stand up and say, hi, I'm so-and-so, and I'm an alcoholic. First step is recognizing that you have a problem. And they literally take it day by day, moment to moment. There are people who have been 35 years, 40 years, 50 years since they gave up alcohol, but they still consider themselves to be alcoholic. And never do they let it rest that, oh yeah, now I've conquered it. I have no power over this. It's only through his power and his strength that I'm able to overcome this. When we are in such a mood, then we can remain fixed and that determination comes. Then finally, Bhagavad Gita closes with Sanjaya's prediction that victory for Arjuna and Krishna. So this is the overview of chapter 18. Now we come to 3 types of renunciation. So renunciation, we know the renounced order. We spoke about sannyas. We also understand what is tyaga. Sannyas and tyaga, Krishna says, is the same. How it is that when you do your prescribed duty, you do your activities, your responsibilities without attachment to the fruit. You are in a sannyas state of mind and you are a tyagi. So one type of renunciation is in the mode of ignorance. What this does is I give up my prescribed duty based on illusion. So Prabhu had asked a question at the start of the class that, why Draupadi, can we do something on our own? One of the defect of our mind is it's imperfect and it is tendency to be an illusion. So based on this, something may just kick up. Or for example, there is Markat Vairagya, or there is something called Smashan Vairagya. Somebody dies, a close person, friend or relative dies. We go to the crematorium, rites are performed. Everyone is sad, crying. It's a very depressing state. And it makes us realize that, we are so fragile. This can happen any moment. Typically, what happens is if you tell somebody, this person died, and the person's reaction is shock. Really? I just spoke to him 2 days ago. It's that disbelief, as though if you look at it, it's quite comical. What does it mean? Just because you spoke to someone makes him immortal. But he can't believe it. I just spoke to him 2 days ago. I just spoke to him this morning. He's died. So it makes us realize that we are very fragile. This life is like a drop of water on the edge of a leaf. Any moment it can fall down. Any moment it can fall down and end. So we can get into this illusion. So we go to the smashan and then we feel that, what is the use of all this? At the end of the day, even I'm going to end up over here and become ashes, and we become philosophical, right? And then in that kind of a misery or that sentiment, we'll start dreaming up of something. It's better if I just leave everything. And no, we are in that illusion. That is mode of ignorance. Some people even carry it out, but it won't last. It won't last because one illusion will be replaced by something else. That determination and remaining fixed won't happen. Then we have in the mode of passion, which is today's verse, giving up based on fear or inconvenience. If I'm a Hare Krishna, I want to keep it hidden. Why? Because today's world, it is old-fashioned to be Hare Krishna. You're so boring. You don't drink, you don't eat meat, you don't smoke. What do you do for enjoying? We'll feel ostracized because majority is doing that. So, majority is authority, so let me run with the herd. So whatever is my prescribed duty, I'm not going to be doing that. Fear of being judgment, fear of, if I do this, then will Krishna really take care of me? I have my doubts. Or inconvenience. Inconvenience is that, I'm required to do certain things, but doable if able. Classic example is seva. There are so many opportunities to serve. Tomorrow is a very big day, one of the biggest day. Shri Nityanand's appearance day. There's so much work to be done. But you put out a call for seva. Just a handful. And of course, there are certain practical, real situations. It's a weekday. There are certain situations that come up. But more often than not, we tend to hide behind all this. And then we put it under the umbrella, it's not practical. Not practical? What do you mean not practical? I mean, everything else that we're doing is totally impractical, literally. And by logic and by logical, scriptural, you can come to that conclusion. Simply waste of time. But for a little bit time, come and do this seva, that seva. So this is where we give it up based on inconvenience. And then in the mode of goodness. Mode of goodness is what they call the intelligent renunciation. With intelligence, not sentiment. Okay? Proper place, proper time. Does it properly. And you can only do your prescribed duty. To know what your prescribed duty is, you need someone to guide you. On our own, market mind, monkey mind, illusion, defect, tendency to cheat and be cheated. It won't go anywhere. So here's where we need the Vaishnav Sangha. Here's where we need the Guru, Acharya, Parampara. So they would be able to tell, okay, this is what you do. Here's how you do it, when you do it, why you do it. So this is renunciation in the mode of goodness. So Prabhu's Matajis, we can now get into the group discussion. If I'll request you all to please unmute yourselves. So, what are the challenges and opportunities in leading a renounced life? What have been your attempts, if you can share, and what you found it easygoing and what you thought was really a hurdle? The instruction Prabhupada has given, simple living, high thinking. So simple living, high thinking is nothing but a manifestation of a renounced life. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Haribol Mataji.
Hare Krishna. I thought I'll mention one of the challenges that we face, and you briefly touched upon that as well. I feel, association, right? Like the majority of the people are enjoying drinking, having parties. You go to Facebook, you see, oh, they had a Diwali party, or they had a New Year's party, and they're eating meat. And we're doing something completely different, right? They already think you're weird that you go and dance in a temple and you do all these things. So I think if you try to associate a lot with materialistic people, like take the association, it can weaken you a lot.
Yes.
Because kya hai, we devotee can start feeling कि हमारे life में तो कोई enjoyment ही नहीं. Like, look, they have everything. They are also doing everything. They're successful in their life, and plus they're having so much enjoyment, right? And we don't know the full story. We don't know the other side, right, of what challenges they are facing. And I'm for sure they are facing some challenges, but they're not going to publicly say that. And I've experienced that. Like, if you try to go to a party like that, you'll be like, you can't even relate to them. And it is like what a waste of time of ours. So I think we have to be so wise in taking association. Like, we can tell them when we are just alone with them, we can preach to them. But going out alone into a mass of party like this, or it is very dangerous for devotees, I feel, to get association.
Very, very, very important point, Mataji. And this is what we all, and especially as you mentioned, New Year, Diwali, festivals coming up and all that, the normal public celebrates. And it seems to be so-called, quote unquote, fun, enjoy. And if you see, it's become almost generic. Bas, enjoy karne ka, enjoy, enjoy, enjoy. But that enjoy is really not enjoy. It's just temporary cessation of misery. Either it's a thank God Friday syndrome, where the weekend comes and you get a breather, or whatever it is. As you said, you're back to square one, you're back in the grind, doing that, that kind of thing. And then what happens is, in sadhana, it's something like one leg is on the shore and the other leg is on the boat. So we are still on the material bank, and then the other leg is on the boat, which is taking us back to Godhead. And, all our efforts we're doing, we're rowing, trying to move away. But that we're tied up to a tree on the bank, material bank. So no matter how hard we try, how hard we row, no matter how properly we row, the form, etc., the boat won't go anywhere further. It just won't go further. So association is the key. And initially it may seem like that this is boring, and it really isn't my scene, whatever. But gradually, it's something like the example they give, a person who has jaundice. Something sweet tastes very bitter. It tastes very bitter. But still, in jaundice, they give you sugarcane juice. It's one of the medicines. It's bitter. You take it as a medicine, and then gradually it counteracts the disease, and you can taste the sweetness. And then we see that, all these things, what I used to do once upon a time, it happens. Even if little things where you can make out the progress that we make in bhakti, if you've been a meat eater, and once upon a time I was a meat eater, not frequently, party shatties or whatever there is. Today, walking down the aisle of a supermarket where there is that meat section, it becomes physically revolting, the smell or even the sight. So you avoid, even just forget eating, you cannot even see that thing. How did this transformation happen? How does that happen? So, there are many things which are happening at a subtle level, and it definitely works. We just need to stay the course. Thanks for bringing it up.
Yeah, so Prabhu, I was thinking, like, of course, this is a challenge, but always is good to discuss the solution with the problem. So if we face this challenge, I think as a solution, and I'm open to hear what others think, is getting that association from devotees.
Yeah.
We all have this need of connecting to people, of friendships and everything. So really revealing your heart to a devotee, and even Jiva Goswami says, right, the 6 ways of exchange.
Yeah.
So, like, okay, if you want to go out, then go out with devotee friends, or if it is Diwali and if you want to have a separate celebration from the temple, like you could invite devotees. And I think if you replace that need of connection and friendship and whatnot with devotee association, that helps a lot, because you can have a bhakti vriksha, join a bhakti vriksha group, so you are able to connect to people there, because as humans we have that need. And if that is not satisfied, then you look for that in non-devotees. So surrounding yourself with that devotee association is so important, and revealing your heart, because a lot of times people come for years to the temple, but they have not connected to each other. They'll dance in the kirtan and they'll sit in the lecture together, but they don't even know each other's names, or they have never revealed their heart to the other devotee. And I feel if you do that, then that need is satisfied. And we should try to take care of ourselves by satisfying that need. Yeah,
Prabhu. Human is a social animal, and he's not an island. He or she is not an island. There has to be interaction. And as you mentioned, when we need to develop relation, and the best way to develop relation is to serve that person, whoever it be. And when we start serving people, whatever capacity that we can start serving the people, that's where connections are established. And what happens is sometimes either we are shy, as you rightly mentioned, people are coming for years in the temple and nobody knows nothing about them, which is so sad. And if at all, we look at a person only as, what level of seva can he or she do? No, build relationships, build friendships. A simple thing like a smile and Hari Bol, Hare Krishna, and talk to that person. Find out who he or she is, what are his interests, how may I serve you? That's when, the people open up, and then there is a connection. And there are so many opportunities. When we sit down for prasadam, why sit down only with our buddies? Why not sit down with a new person? And just talk to them. Don't preach or anything. Just get to know them. So if we listen, if we can, then that's where these connections happen. And, it'll go beyond that 1 hour, 2 hours on Sunday. And then everyone goes back home to their routine. Thanks. What are the challenges or even opportunities, if anyone can please share?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandot Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Yeah, related to this Gokul Priya Mataji's point, like when we do the service, like recently we had that program, Prabhuji event, 31st night in December, and I posted on Facebook all these videos and all that, and just sent to my relatives and friends also, like how we did New Year night. So I got the comments from relatives and friends also. Oh, आप लोग कितना अच्छा enjoy कर रहे हैं, traditional dresses पहन, and like that. So they really liked it. So what I am thinking, like if we do this service, like using social media also, if we put all our things on media, on like Facebook, let's see, or WhatsApp. So through that we can just make, because people in India, they have tendency to just follow the Western life. So I
Yeah.
feel like we are renounced, we are not attached, we are enjoying the thing, like dancing and singing a song also. Like, so they are thinking, oh, तुम लोग तो बहुत अच्छा कर रहे हो, इतने अच्छे से तुमने celebrate किया like this. So I feel like we are renounced also because we are doing for the pleasure of Krishna only, and
Yeah.
still we are enjoying, right, Prabhuji? So I feel it's really good combination. Like what we are doing, and people will get the essence of this Krishna consciousness from them.
Very true. There is a devotee who's a what they call an influencer. His name is Gaur Gopal Prabhu from Radha Gopinath Mandir. He
Hmm.
has a couple of million followers on the social media platform.
Yeah.
Very,
I saw
very famous.
Kapil Sharma show also.
Yeah, he came on Kapil Sharma show. And you see his style of preaching. There's even one Amog Leela Prabhu. You see how they preach. You
Yeah.
see the language that they use. You see the mannerisms. You see the gestures that they use. You
Yeah.
get so typically people think that bhakti and devotion is for old people, boring hai, ekdam shanti hai, you know, agarbatti and wo ting 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 kar rahe hai, and it's a very sedate kind of a thing.
Yeah.
But here they are, what they're saying, they're disrupting the entire notion that bhakti is very vibrant. Is very, and they have scores and scores and scores, millions, it goes in millions of followers. So they've become internet celebrities. How with this thing of and they are pakka renounced, they're brahmacharis.
I
They
know.
are
Yeah.
they are fully steeped in the shastras. They are walking, talking encyclopedia of shastra, and their behavior and their practice, and see the medium with which they put. Gaur Gopal Prabhu, even in his classes, he gives these short videos, which could be, you know, maybe 30 seconds, 1 minute, 2 minutes, but also his regular full-length classes. He makes it so lively. He makes it so engaging. And
Yeah.
from all walks of life, whether illiterate, whether rich, poor, PhDs, IITs, they are just fans. So yeah, that's it. That's what we can do, to your point.
Yeah,
Which
that's our Srila Prabhupada's movement. We have to spread this like disease, right? Through internet or through like different social medias, right? So that is a renounce only. We are not attached to this. Like we were enjoying, we were dancing, like all Matajis, like हम लोग तो पागल हो गए थे. When I see the videos, like क्या कर रहे हैं हमको ही नहीं पता, इतना डांस, मतलब fully we were in like that Krishna conscious movement, like mood, playing, just singing for and dancing for Krishna. Because while rehearsal also you are saying कोई perfect नहीं है, but we are doing for the pleasure of the Lord. So that consciousness was there, and everybody was like just पता नहीं, किसी को कुछ नहीं पता चल रहा था what's going on.
Very true.
So, yeah, it's like renunciation only. We are not attached to that, but still we are doing something, and we can use that also for others to get the benefit out of it. So thank you so much, Prabhuji, to you.
Thank
for
you.
this real like.
No, you Mataji, you came like Jhansi ki Rani.
That's only because of you, Prabhuji, because you decided
Thank you.
we had to
God bless you,
wear all these
Prabhupada.
costumes. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
You know, and one very interesting thing, and this thing which you talked about renunciation, I'll share what my Guru Maharaj gave an instruction, two instructions. You know, I was learning to play the guitar, and I don't know how to play it. I just picked up a couple of chords, and then I used to compose music. Then one devotee told me that, no, you should not play the guitar. It is a Western instrument. And then the question was that it is, I'm not the body, I'm the soul. Western, Eastern, Indian, American is all bodily, right? So how does it matter? So I said, anyway, I respect and I love this person a lot. So unka maan rakhne ke liye, I kept my guitar away and I wrote to Guru Maharaj. You know, Guru Maharaj travels all over the world. So my letter was following all over. And after a year or year and a half, I got the reply back. In the meantime, Gunagari Swami used to come to our, in the Edison First State Squad, where we started the Yatra, ICNJ Yatra. So I asked Gunagari Swami, Maharaj, this is my dilemma. So he said, do you attend Mangal Arati? Have you ever heard Govindam Adipurusham? So I said, yes. He's saying those are all guitars, bass guitar, electric guitar, organ. So, and that's what we, the Lord is greeted with early morning. And then he said, Prabhupada has named this the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. And then he gave the principle of Yukta Vairagya. He gave the principle. So he says, yes, it's absolutely fine. But I've already written to my Guru Maharaj. I was waiting for Guru Maharaj's instruction. Then finally, Yagya Purush Prabhu got the instruction, and then he shared it with me. He says, yes, definitely you can use the guitar, develop it and use it in service of Krishna. If you're composing music, compose music, you can do it. The only thing is that there are certain rituals and worship related. In that point in time, don't play the guitar, maintain the tradition, but for everything else, not a problem. So this is the one instruction. Incidentally, the harmonium that we play is a Western instrument. It's a portable or a condensed version of the organ, which they play in the church. It's a Western instrument. Anyway, then a few years later, when Sachi was born, we had gone to New Vrindavan to meet Guru Maharaj. Now, personally, I just love Kirtan. It does something. It transforms the, each one of us has a certain, we are individuals, so we have a certain taste, you can say, to a devotional service. So Kirtan is my calling. And it really puts me in a different state of mind. So especially if the Kirtan is really loud and dancing and dham dhama dham that way. So I asked Guru Maharaj, I said, Maharaj, I'm kind of guilty that, we understand devotional services for the pleasure of Krishna. I seem to be engaging in an act of devotional service, but it is very selfish. It is for my enjoyment. I'm the one who's enjoying Kirtan. So, it bothers me what to do. So Guru Maharaj said, yes, it is all whatever we do is for the pleasure of Krishna. Now, initially, it may be something of devotional. Someone may just love prasadam, doesn't matter. Initially, it may be apna swarth. It gives me pleasure. But however, because it is connected with Krishna, it has a neutralizing effect. And over a period of time, gradually, you will do Kirtan just for the pleasure of Krishna and his devotees. It's not for your pleasure. So continue. Don't stop engaging in Kirtan. So
Sure.
this is what it is. Even, that detachment doesn't happen overnight. It's not like a switch. But keep at it. Keep doing the devotional service with the goal, I need to get there. Thank you.
Yeah, our consciousness is like that. So it's like detach only, renounce only, but we are doing like this material. It looks like material thing, but when we are doing for Krishna's pleasure, from inside only we get that feeling. We are not doing like for like show off or something. We are doing for his pleasure. It's Krishna's everything.
Yeah. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Matajis are speaking, but Prabhujis are silent.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Prabhuji.
Dandavat Bimal Prabhu.
Prabhuji, as Gita Mataji said, right, the association, right? So as and when we are coming towards more and more to a Krishna conscious, one important thing, Prabhuji, is we have to do renunciation of stupid talks, right? Prajalpa. We should avoid the prajalpas. As and when we do prajalpas, stop prajalpas, we are basically approaching towards, Krishna Bhakti more and more. So prajalpa is such a thing, we have to be very tricky here. Now we have an office work where, we have to talk about office, whatever we're doing. But when we're disassociated with office, when it comes with our social public, like as Mataji said, right? When we are going to like Bhakti Vriksha, I've been seeing in Bhakti Vriksha, we get new devotees, right? So new devotees, they are not so Krishna conscious, but they start talking all other things. So, but I have to, that is what I'm trying to do. I basically, again, bring them to Bhagavad Gita class or to preach about Bhagavad Gita. So I'm definitely getting rid of this prajalpas and helping them also to, change that situation and giving them mentorship what is prajalpa, because prajalpa is such a big thing. If we get rid of this, we will utilize that time for all other activities, reading good books, having good discussions, attending these classes, it would basically elevate us to spiritually more and more.
Very good point, prajalpa. And it happens especially when we're sharing Krishna consciousness, because the person would have his own concept, his own ideas, whatever be the case, he or she. When we are sharing Krishna consciousness, it has to be done in a very sensitive manner. Otherwise, many a times what can happen, we'll push the person away rather than bring them. Not only other persons, even in our own family. When it becomes a compulsion, you have to do this, you have to chant your rounds, you have to come to the temple, people will do it. Then after a while, they'll say, this is not my cup of tea. So that is a very sensitive thing. And it's an art of how to engage people. And as you said, rightly said, to divert the conversation from point A to point B. You can't just cut it down there and you're talking nonsense. What are you saying? You come over here to Bhakti Vriksha, it's only to do Bhagavad Gita. So that's why Bhagavad Gita, Bhakti Vriksha is actually an art. And there is a manual. There is a whole manual which has been developed over several years, which tells that how you start when you enter Bhakti Vriksha, how it is started, what are the icebreakers, how objections need to be handled. Very detailed, very detailed. So whoever is doing Bhakti Vriksha, I'll strongly encourage, please go through that manual. It's available on the internet, or maybe I'll have to, if someone is interested, I can share the copy. Incidentally, our yatra started through Bhakti Vriksha, by the way, with just two people, three people, 3.5 people. And from there, every Saturday is just doing Bhagavad Gita and Kirtan. And from there, couple families joined, more families joined, took a rented premise every Sunday, went to a bigger place, and then finally Plainfield Mandir. So yeah, sharing is very, very important. And Krishna says, studying and sharing Krishna consciousness. Thank you, Bimal Prabhu. Nice point, very nice point. Prajalpa takes our mind away. Okay, if anybody else would like to share their realization.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Jai
So, Prabhuji, just wanted to ask one question. So, now when people are in Krishna consciousness, right? So, everybody has their own progress, right? Because everybody is not equal in terms of caliber, capabilities, and all. Everybody comes with their own baggage and whatever karma and all of that. So, how do we measure or know how devotee is progressing in the spiritually, right? So somebody initially they just came in contact with this movement and but then how do you define a success? I mean, we in the corporate world we always talk about the KPIs or whatever success criteria, right? The goals. So in this Krishna consciousness, so what defines the success, successful outcome for the devotee?
It is for every person, it's going to differ, but there are certain generic things that happen. So let's say we were talking about Bhakti Vriksha, right? So Bhakti Vriksha is typically made up of the servant leader and the assistant servant leader. So these are the coordinators and they are the persons who drive the Bhakti Vriksha. However, the key is to make it interactive. Many a times what happens is there's something called Namahata. Namahata is where one person speaks and there is a a devotee, a Vaishnava, he or she will be leading, and he or she is doing all the pravachan. And then the audience is assimilating the instruction and whatever knowledge is being shared. So it will be one person in that group who does the, whereas Bhakti Vrikshas, like what we're doing right now, is an interactive session. And there the servant and the servant leader and his assistant or her assistant, they are the ones who facilitate people to get involved. And based on the involvement, there are certain benchmarks or guidelines on basis of which you can see that who's making progress. So actually, Bhakti Vriksha, what happens, like, you start with a simple book like Science of Self-Realization, for example, and there are different chapters. So you meet every Friday or Saturday, something, one day a week. And then when you meet in that week, so, today, let's say Sudhakar will do the chapter 1. Tomorrow, Bimal Prabhu will do chapter 2. Or next week, Bimal Prabhu does chapter 2. So then Bimal Prabhu then reads, and then he prepares. Now, his understanding may or may not be right. It may be on mark, or it may be close or far away, whatever be that case. But then when he starts speaking, okay, about this, so he reads through this and he prepares, what are your thoughts and realization, and he shares it. And then the servant leader is the person who moderates, because at times it can get out of hand. It could get into arguments and all that. So that's where that skill set comes in. And then you can see how each person, so in a Bhakti Vriksha, there'll be a pravachan or a discourse, there will be kirtan, there will be arti, the deity. So people are engaged in deity worship. They learn how to do deity worship. They learn how to ring the bell. Why ring a bell? Why bow down? Why light a diya? What does it mean? How you do? You offer at the feet and then navel, whatever is that procedure. So people get trained in a practical manner. That is what Bhakti Vriksha is all about. It's not just knowledge. It's not just gyan. The practical application, realizations, and then, you chant. Everyone sits together and chants around. Ask them about chanting. How does it make you feel? What happens? What were your thoughts? So, so many, it's quite a lot. And based on that, we'll be able to then determine how the person, but a simple way, a yardstick for ourselves and for others. Of course, please understand, do not judge anyone. There are people who come into Hare Krishna and spontaneously, Srimati Mataji was sharing. First time she came to Hare Krishna, they told her chant, and she's from day 1, she started 16 rounds, straight away. 16 rounds, day 1. Now, there are some people like that who spontaneously, and it's whatever their earlier life, good deeds that has happened, they take it. And there are some people who take a while to start chanting. There are some people sitting in Bhakti Vriksha, everyone is chanting and they won't chant. There is some block, but we need to be gentle. So one way of realizing it is for ourselves, what progress that we are making is how much of the bad habits, when I accept something is not good for me, how much of that I'm able to renounce, give up. So there is a whole laundry list of do's and don'ts. So how much am I doing it? With what intensity am I doing it? With what frequency am I doing it? What is the quality of my work in doing it? That tells us how close or how far we are. And it is not like, it can happen that you take 2 steps forward and then you slip back 1 step behind. Doesn't matter. The important thing is to keep moving on.
Hare Krishna
Yeah,
Prabhu, can I
thank
jump
you.
in and just answer this question? Can I, whatever you said,
Please.
and can I add something?
Please, please.
So the way I understood the question, Prabhu, whoever is asking, is they were saying that what is the KPI, right, of what they're doing? How do they measure it, right? Is that the question who was asking?
Yeah, Mataji, how do we, one knows whether they're progressing well or right, they're stuck somewhere or they're very slow or right. So yeah.
So Prabhu, like what Amritananda Prabhu also mentioned there, like, there'll be few people will jump start very quickly, and you'll think, how can they just jump to 16 rounds right away? And it took me so long. So we all are having our own journeys, Prabhu. So the way I would compare, right, the way you would do KPIs as well, you would see where you were and where you are now. So you don't have a competition against anyone, or anyone for that matter, right? So if you started and you didn't even know about Krishna, and now you're chanting 2 rounds, or whatever journey you are on, you should compare yourself only to that and see what progress you've made. And at the end of the day, it's up to Krishna. Like, we cannot tell, okay, this devotee is so advanced, they've been around for so many years, and somebody might be very new and they might really have a lot of love for Krishna. So that is up to Krishna to decide. But from our side, if we are sincerely following, and if you say, if you are making progress, even if it's very slow, that is good enough, Prabhu. It is not like we have to show our status or um, beat ourselves down, I feel, with those KPIs, because I know we got used to that at this point in life.
Yeah.
A very
Thank
good
you.
point
Thank
is
you,
you're not in competition with anybody but yourself. And end of the day, it comes to what is, in Hindi, there's a word called tadap. What do you say, tadap? In how much you yearn, how much you're hankering. Some of us have philosophical appreciation, and it remains just over here. It doesn't come into the heart. So what level of transformation is it bringing about? And we know, all of us realistically know, that death is guaranteed. The point is, we don't know when. So if I really am hankering, then my level of seriousness will automatically increase. So how do you have this hankering? Is through association, to sticking at it. Even if you don't have the taste, I'm still doing it. I'm doing it as a discipline. I'm doing it as a duty. And the more and more you engage in it, the more and more that transformation happens. Krishna Ramanand Prabhu has said, information is meant for transformation. Otherwise, it is just useless knowledge cluttering over here on top. We can be great philosophers. We can be great reciters of Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. But no hearts will change. Our heart won't change. Somebody else's heart will not change. So very good point, Prabhu. Very good point. How to benchmark progress in Krishna consciousness.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. I also want to add here, Prabhuji.
Please.
Prabhuji, I want to share my realization, my Krishna consciousness journey and how I am progressing and how I'm measuring. Maybe that may help you. Like,
Sure.
Prabhuji, when I was chanting, I was for 1.5 years, I was just chanting only one mala. And Govardhan Prabhuji is my Siksha Guru. He told Bimal, you are doing 1.5 years over and you're just chanting one mala. Prabhuji Nayavara. I used to just say, I'm not feeling like doing. And when I studied in Srimad Bhagavatam, right, about Amrish Maharaj, and he was so much devoted, he's doing seva in the temple and all that. Immediately, very next day or immediately same day I went, God, I came to do seva. And the moment I did seva, within 1 week or 2 weeks, I started doing 18 rounds of chanting. The fire was burning in my heart. No, you have to chant, chant, chant. My wife got scared. What are you doing? I don't know. It is not, I'm not able to stop chanting. So that is what I see. And from past 2.5 years more, I'm doing 20 rounds of chanting daily. That is one progression which I see that has been continued, right? So it is okay. My also mind is not on stagnant, but I'm continuing, right? Daily from 2.5 years, when I was just doing only one round, now I'm continuing doing 20 rounds. This is a progression, right? When Lord mercy is there, Srila Prabhupada mercy is there, definitely I'm able to do. And one more thing, Prabhuji, when we are doing chanting, right, a lot of transformation happens. See, there are 3 modes of nature, right? Mode of goodness, mode of passion, and mode of ignorance. So you will see a change in yourself. You'll always be in the mode of goodness. You'll try to absorb anybody talks to you roughly also, you'll again change it. You will not react to him in the same way. You will always react to him in a mode of goodness only. So you'll see the transformation. You'll always be in the mode of goodness. So this is one of the things. And Prabhuji, one more thing what I saw is, when I started doing Ekadasi, I was doing first Ekadasi by eating fruits and Ekadasi fruit. Then I came to know from Jagdish Prabhuji, there is Nirjal Ekadasi. Then I also had desire. No, I also want to Nirjal Ekadasi. Then what I did is I stopped my food and drank only water. Then this one I continued for 3 to 4 months. Then I stopped drinking water. Now I'm doing Nirjal Ekadasi. So that is also continuing from past 2 years, right? And that is happening. And one more thing, Prabhuji, what I'm doing, I did seva first in Govinda's, I did at least regularly for 1 year seva. Then I transitioned to flower seva. Then I'm helping in the kitchen duties for cooking the food. And now I'm going for book distribution. So that if you see, Prabhuji, there is always progression happening, and you feel yourself satisfied. Oh, you are doing something which is needed. So that is what I measure, Prabhuji, KPIs, whatever you say, right? And you'll feel always good, happy in your heart. And you'll see that, yes, I'm doing something which I have to do.
Very nice. My only, to keep this up now, there is a fire, as you say, has lit up now, Bimal Prabhu. The fire which is lit up, now it is to make sure the fire becomes a raging inferno. And for that, because it is such, my Guru Maharaj says, material world is such that it'll always pull you down. It's like gravity, a negative energy. The circumstances or whatever it is such that it always pulls us down. And especially for a devotee, either from internal, we learned this, right? Daivik, Adibhautik, Adhyatmik, it'll always be pulling us down. So what is, reflect, please meditate, my humble reflect. My request to you, Prabhuji, is now that, you have this fire burning in your belly, what is it you can do to, lantern mein kaise wo glass covering is there, right? What it can be done and how the intensity can be increased. So you'll have to do reflect and meditate on this. And this is for everyone, not just for Bimal Prabhu. What is it that we can do to spark, to make it a flame, from flame to make it a fire, from fire to make it an inferno? What is it that we can do? And then the guidance, either Govardhan Bhakta Prabhu is with whom you have an equation, or a senior Vaishnav, or if someone is visiting Guru Maharaj or a sannyasi or somebody, ask them, what can I be doing to so that I don't slip up, or this is what I'm doing, and what can I do to progress even further? That hankering, that tadap, how can I increase that? And then based on their guidance and instruction, adopt that in our sadhana. I'm so happy to hear this, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Can I add some points, Prabhuji?
You should definitely add, Prabhu.
Just, I was listening to Prabhuji's question about how do we measure the progress. Yes, it's all good that when we have this momentum, enthusiasm, and the trust, all comes to us. But how do we measure those, right? So whether we are really making the progress in that, or it's just a sentimental, or just a, somebody else is doing, also I'm also doing. So we could see that there are so many devotees, they initially they do this. After sometimes they go away, something comes up. And are this really a progress making, or are we, something else is actually driving us? Some people are very, very much, in front, but, there are some subtle, other things are also behind that. So that's why Srila Rupa Goswami is mentioned about a progressive journey in the spiritual, path. That progressive journey that starts from the faith. I mean, if sometimes we say that, Kanishta Adhikari has a faith, which is little not strong. Madhyama Adhikari has a great faith, and Uttama Adhikari, unwavering faith. So then we have that strong faith, and then it says that, from Kanishta to Madhyama to Uttama. Then we come to, then a faith, Adu Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha. With that faith, then we, come to our Bhakti Risha, we come to any association of the devotees, Sadhu Sangha, we never miss it. Like we have a Bhagavatam class, Bhagavad Gita class. I know that Balram Proji is joining every day, pretty much. Don't miss any classes. So there we can see that, that Sadhu Sangha, that faith is very strong. And Sadhu Sangha, that means we are making progress. Then it comes to then we chant the holy name. That's where, bhajana kriya. So we have prescribed rounds of that we committed, or, ASI 16 rounds, or, we take Guru, Ashraya or Srila Prabhupada Ashraya, whatever it is. So we have some prescribed. So if you keep doing that, are we chanting that, properly? Or every day when we chant, is it chanting for ourselves or is it chanting for Krishna? Right? Always we ask this question. When we chant for ourselves, and then our mind goes every places. But when we chant for Krishna, then we stick with the Krishna. So that's also we can measure whether they are making progress or not. Then we come to the anartha nivarti. That means when we chant with that making progress, when we made only the progress in our holy name chanting, then only we can come out from all the anarthas. If you are still chanting, we are so much anarthas, we are making progress. We are not making progress. So we have these anarthas, 6 anarthas. That is kama, krodha, moha, lopa, mada, malsarya. That means all lust, greed, anger, envious, illusion, and arrogance. So are we talking? I mean, this is the essence of entirely, the Bhagavad Gita is teaching us how we can come out from these anartha nivartis and ownership and proprietorship and false ego and sense of everything, and this all on the settled level. So if we are still hankering for any of these anarthas, so then we can check, are we making progress? So this is actually in this progressive stage, it's a mid actually when it comes to that. So anartha nivarti happens when we are really making the progress. Otherwise, we are still hankering for all these material attachments. When we have this anartha nivarti, then our attachment is to Krishna, then we will be more detached from these all material, things. That we can see that if we still attachment for so many things like name, fame, pradishta, puja, all those things, right? So are we making progress? No, we are not making progress because we are stuck there because we are now still with the material. So this is another way of making progress, that are we come out from the our anarthas. Then we actually making, this is the stage, this is our beginning stage of real taste. That's where we come to that stage of nishta. Are we really steady? Are we getting up in the morning if you are able to chant? Are we attending the classes? Are we listening, reading? Are we free from all this material hankering and attachment? We are nishta, very determined. Nishta means determined mind. And then actually, are we really getting the taste? So when we chant the holy name, when we do any services, when you come and hear, there are 9 symptoms of this, ecstasy. That's where we really come to that state, taste and ruchi and ecstasy, and come to that, then ruchi, we develop the taste for. So like Amritananda Prabhu was giving the class, right? I was having this eating meat in some point of time, but now we cannot go to that side even because of, we completely. So this is where called, because we develop the taste, we develop the higher taste. So when we develop this higher taste, yes, we are making progress, and now we cannot, go back because we are already made some progress in our consciousness. Then we come to that nishta, ruchi, then we come to that stage of bhava, right? That ecstasy, the highest ecstasy of, when we chant, we, tears comes to our eyes, our, hair stand on end, we chalk our voice. We have, don't, then that point of time onwards, we never indulge in any of this. That's anartha nivarti state, like prajalpa or something, which unwanted things which you want to do. And then also we come to that bhava stage. Then that's the real, the making the progress. Then now when we see Krishna, when we hear about Krishna, we ran to that. Our heart would attach to that. Our heart would go there, no matter what. Wherever it is, whoever is talking. Now, that point of time, we don't discriminate, oh, this is person speaking, this person is speaking, this person is speaking. In that stage, we would say that I'm not a devotee. Everybody else is a devotee. I won't say that. That's what Srila Prabhupada says, that when a devotee is in a real platform, we don't even say and act, says, I'm a devotee. So then that point of time, then, bhava, then really come to that stage of prema. This is, prema means we cannot even explain what is that because we are not qualified to even speak about. It's just a different stage of altogether. So this is what is the progressive journey. So we can check in each of these. Rupa Goswami mentioned in the Nectar of Devotion that we can check in any of all this, that are we really making all these stages, progressing in this, the progressive path. I just wanted to add this. Sorry.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Thank you so much.
Yeah, Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna.
Balram Prabhu, was that okay? Or
Sudhakar Prabhu.
Oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. Yeah. No, again, I've been associated many years, but at times, I just reflect and just see, what progress I'm making. But at least, I can. I was actually, I used to do, sometimes 16 rounds, but then, but the way I was not, happy with the way I was doing and all sorts of things. So then I wanted to just take a step back and start from the basics, right? So that's how when I started with 1-2 rounds.
Yeah.
But at least I can see that, there is nothing. No, I want to focus on something else, right? While whatever time I spend a half an hour, about doing these 2 rounds, but then I just want to give 100% dedication, right? I may not be perfect, but at least I have some discipline to do that. And then of course I can increase the rounds and all of that. But definitely I don't want to jump and then take up bigger thing and then fall down. Rather maybe slowly take up slowly. So that's what I'm trying to do, Prabhuji.
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody has their own journey approach. Everybody has. It is unique, and everybody has their own journey. Yeah, I mean, it's wonderful. It's wonderful that such a wonderful thought and wonderful question like that. That's in itself is actually a good sign of making progress. Yeah.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, it's really nice. I'm feeling like a Krishna talking in different voices, so learning from all of you. So would like to add some points, definitely, Prabhu. So yeah, on your presentation, you said like opportunity. Yes, definitely. There are 87 million species on this earth. So for a dog or a cat, a day starts and closes. Same routine they will do, but a God-given opportunity to live like a human being with a consciousness of what we are eating, what we are talking. So we are given that great consciousness. So in our lifetime, if we protect that great consciousness and realization, definitely that will be a great opportunity, Prabhu. And also by blessings of Simeshwara Prabhu and our ISKCON devotees, on the last Kanuma Day, we celebrated very nicely. We did Kau Puja at our Goshala. That is one great achievement. About 40 families participated, and also I'm planning to do bringing go diyas made of cow diyas to USA and lit all those in families of ISKCON at Austin, Texas. So that is one of object I'm thinking. So I'm looking at blessings from all our devotees to make this happen. So that is one request to take blessings from all of you, Prabhu, to achieve that objective. So, yeah. And the third point is definitely one point after listening your session, I thought we are all family members, so like a family grostas. So if you come up with a presentation, what are all the Grihasthas role and responsibilities defined in Bhagavad Gita. Yes, sannyasi definitely it's a great opportunity to associate with them, but we are given an opportunity to be in a Grihastha family. So so if you present in that Grihastha point of view only, I would like to learn and listen from you, Prabhu. So that is one request. So yeah, thank you for giving some time and realizations. Actually, I'm working at a client place. I hope everyone. My colleagues always call me in a team. I'm managing about 30 people. So whenever they reach out me, they always say you are very pleasant and quiet. When we talk to other people, we will be very disturbed. So how you are managing like this? So I always say I chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. That makes me so happy and make my relation stronger without any issues and concerns. So that is one feedback I got from my team, Prabhu. So just I would like to add these a couple of points. And thank you so much for giving some time to talk and to learn and to realize and to rectify where I am, what I'm doing. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Wonderful, Ramakrishna Prabhu. Wonderful. Very good. So, wow, we're 8:45, 8:43. It's so engaging. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Simeshwar Prabhu.
Yeah, great. Thank you, Amritananda Prabhuji. Wonderful class, wonderful discussions. And yes, this is really the satsang. This is the meaning of satsang, and this is the purpose of satsang, that we discuss the topics and understand the meaning of, or the essence of all the scriptures. How we can apply it in our life and how we can make progress. And tomorrow is a very, very auspicious day, and this is where that we all apply our what we learned. Tomorrow is the appearance day of Nityananda Prabhu. Nityananda Prabhu is none other than the Lord Balaram. So some may ask question, how is that possible? So yes, this is the way that the classes and when we engage, we'll come to know how the Nityananda Prabhu is Lord Balaram. So please engage yourself, and what are the services there? And tomorrow 2:00 cooking is starting. And if anybody is available, please join tomorrow evening, starting at 6:00. Now Kirtan, Arati, Abhishek, and Kada, so many wonderful things. Please join, so don't miss, because of this is the way we really come very closer to the mercy of the Lordships. Because this shows our how much we are trying to please the Lordships. Some people say, "Oh, I don't know, I have so many other things," but we just set aside all those things. We come forward and say that, yes, I'm here for the Lord, or Lord, I'm here for your service. So this way I know that you will be pleased. So we should be always ready for service. This is the total understanding of that. Always you should be ready for service. So please join tomorrow. And tomorrow is a very, very wonderful. I'm fasting, complete fasting till noon. And we don't even drink water. And then you take, if possible, Ekadashi prasadam, or if not possible, then regular prasadam, that's okay. So, but you fast till noon, and then you offer the bhoga to the Lordships, or do the Abhishek or whatever, so that do that. And tomorrow is a wonderful day for that. Even just remembering the Nityananda Prabhu itself is, very, very purifying, and very, there is no words to say that how much benefit, because of he is the merciful, the most merciful. And the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is most merciful. And now there is no offense to Lord Nityananda Prabhu or Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. There is no offense. So by the mercy of Nityananda Prabhu, we get the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So tomorrow is Nityananda Prabhu's appearance day, our Mahotsav. Please join, and whatever the service you can do, please engage. So it starts at 6:00. Please be there. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.
Let's pay our obeisance to all the assembled Vaishnava devotees of the Lord. Vancha kalpatarubhasya
Patitanam pavanebhyo
वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः
की जय
जय
Jai.
जय श्रीमद् भगवद गीता की जय श्री
Jai.
जय
आनंद कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय
Jai.
Hare Hare Bol.
हरि हरि हरि
Hare
हरि
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, Amritananda Prabhu.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna. Hare Krishna.